Hi, it's Nancy with Garden Scroll. Today is December the 4th, and the garden is all brown. There's very little green left anywhere. Little bits and pieces you can still find. And I've got lots of things covered with plastic because it helps the elements, just being out in the elements. Things get hot and cold and brittle and crack. So not everything is covered, but a lot of the things are covered. I think that at one time this little girl was covered, and I probably should get out here and cover her again. We had some high winds, which is, of course, not unusual. If you've watched any of the YouTube posts, you know that where we live is just extremely windy. At different times today is a beautiful day. Actually, the temperatures are nice. I'm out here without a jacket or sweater on, and it's just very, very nice out today. And I love this color that the sedum goes to when winter gets here. It's got such pretty color. But I've also been noticing that we've got I'm pretty sure this is larkspur coming up. And for some reason, it stays green during the winter, and then it will just keep going when spring gets here. And it won't be too long after that. It'll be after the bulbs, and I think they come up close to the time the irises do when they come up and bloom. They're very pretty too. Most of mine are blue. I do have some white and some between a mauve and a pink, or actually some of each, the mauvish and the pinkish. So I thought we would talk today about some of the things that worked and some of the things that did not work in the garden, in the 2019 garden. So we'll be doing some looking back today. So today we're going to actually do some, go back and take some former pictures of the garden throughout the season and talk about what worked and what did not work. Today I'm also going to be watering my plants, although I've already felt of this whole section, and most of them had plenty water on them. I've been giving them about 8 ounces or a little over maybe of water every week, but they just are still moist. I don't think they need any this week. I'm going to try that and see how that will work. There's several things I wanted to talk about, but when we go back to the former things, I guess what I'm saying is we're going to have a few reruns. So, but we'll have some different commentary, and I'll tell you the things that I enjoyed in the garden that worked for me and the things that didn't work. And we're going to talk a little bit more about herbaceous earth, HE, because I think it's going to be something that is really going to help me with a lot of my insect problems, not just fungus gnats. So some people have asked me, what are you going to do now that you won't be out in the garden? And they seem to think that I'm just needing something to do so badly that I actually garden. But actually gardening, as you know if you are a gardener, completely controls your time. And so I'm very grateful to have a little bit of time we watched some movies. They were old movies, but they were really good movies. Homeless to Harvard, everybody should see that. We watched Big Business. I love that movie. It's so funny. Talk about different society levels. That'll be giving you a little idea of that. And then, let's see, what else did we watch? We watched Working Girl, which is one of my favorites. I know it's 1988, but sometimes I like living in the past. But anyway, those were the ones we watched, and we totally enjoyed them. That was it's just fun to go back sometimes and look through things. So, well, that's what we're going to actually do in the garden today, too. But I have been also watching some YouTube channels, and that's where I learned more about the herbaceous earth and also about cleaning your plants, because as the person I was listening to said, it doesn't rain inside, so if you have houseplants, you're going to have to clean them. So I did actually a little bit of that. When I was younger, I used to have a house full of kids, and we had our kids and usually some nieces and nephews along with them, which was actually a wonderful time in life. I could not do that now. My nerves would not allow it, but at that time, I had to keep them busy while I was busy cleaning house, so I would give them little bowls with mayonnaise in it to clean the plants. And it's funny that when I ask them if they remember being in my home, several of them say, yes, I remember cleaning the plants with mayonnaise. So that does work. That was something I learned from probably Woman's Day, some magazine. But it does work and makes them shiny, and it's good for them. So I did a little bit of that. So this is one of the ones that I did clean with mayonnaise, and oh, it looks so much better. Of course, I sat right here in the chair beside it a lot of times, and so this is looking terrible to me, and after I cleaned it, it just looks so good. So and I was proud of it anyway, so it really looks good now. And not only do they look better, but they help your plants to breathe. And of course, we're still enjoying our tree. I love Christmas, as I've said before. Sometimes I say I love Christmas from Bethlehem to Whoville. I like Christmas a lot. So that's just the way it is, and I never get tired of it. You know, I put it up early. But now it's time. Everybody's getting their trees up, so it's time I can come out and openly enjoy our beautiful tree. Another thing I did, because yesterday and today have both been beautiful days, even though it's December. Of course, our October weather was freezing, and now we're having some pretty days. But I noticed, and I have been noticing, that this beautiful foxtail fern, I love this thing, but it's losing its little needles, and I cleaned it up yesterday, and I also took the pot and emptied it out and put a little bit of vermicelli in it. I thought maybe it was too dry, but when I emptied the pot, I saw that it's actually too wet, if anything, so I did put it, change the soil out a little bit and mix in some vermicelli, and I'm hoping that will take care of it. I don't know. You know, I've told you I don't do well with houseplants, but oh, I'm hoping to be able to bring these back out because I love this plant. And this is another plant that I love so very much, and yet it's not doing well. I had to throw another leaf away. I can't tell if it's overwatered or underwatered. I felt of it, and it feels a little bit dry, but not that much. So I gave it just a little bit of water, but instead of how these are standing up and looking healthy, all the rest of it's just kind of laying down. So I'm just hoping that I will be able to save this through the winter, because oh, it's just one of my favorites. I can't believe how much it grew in the garden last year and how beautiful it is. I just don't want to lose it by any means. I picked this clip because I'm missing green in the garden. I now have this same plant inside for the winter again. It is doing well, and it did so well this last season that I gave a part of it to my sister. This lovely bougainvillea was in the 2018 garden and it bloomed so pretty. This year's bougainvillea did not bloom, but it is still alive, and I'm thinking that perhaps it was because we had such an early frost. It could have bloomed if it had a little more time, so we'll give it another chance next year. And this lovely purple splash pepper was also in the 2018 garden, and oh how I missed it this season. I love the colors, the beautiful purple, black, and white colors of this plant. Another thing I missed in the garden was this pretty molten lava coleus. I started out with some, but it didn't make it. Also, this beautiful stained glass plum coleus did not. That redhead coleus did for me, but this is from the 2018 garden. Isn't that beautiful? In this year's garden, it started out that tiny little spot, but it just didn't make it. And although I hope to have it back in the garden next year and in future years, but I also sometimes you just have to take what you can get to grow, and this lovely arrangement did fine for me this year. And another thing that always works well for me is the coleuses, and this one is called Colorsaurus. They do always seem to work very well in our Oklahoma heat. They just keep shining. And this little Hina coleus did well too. But my Persian shield, still, I do not know if I would call it a what worked, but it did live. So I'm hoping I can finally figure out how to do those so that they will keep their beautiful purple color. In this pretty Mexican flame vine. I had some growing in the 2019 garden, but this is from the 2018 garden, as my 2019 garden flame vine did not get a chance to bloom. And this is also the annual butterfly weed plant. I wanted some of it back in my 2019 garden, but I did not. It just didn't make it for me. I did plant some, and I will try that again next year. And while I'm missing these lovely places to hang things in the garden, it was a good idea to go ahead and get rid of our rain tree. Although it is a beautiful tree, it brought those red shoulder bugs, which we were glad to get rid of. We did see a few this year, but actually very few. I will miss this golden color in the fall, though. So this year we replaced that rain tree with a weeping willow. This is our little weeping willow. It's so young you can barely tell, but we're excited to see what it will do. And in with the what didn't work, I'd have to put the beautiful fuchsia. I thought perhaps I could bring it in and when it got too hot for it and keep it as a house plant, but I let it die before I got the chance to bring it in. And where do I even begin with the beautiful Calibrachoa, the mini petunias? I love it so much, but these were my 2018 and they lasted just a little while, except for this one. This one lasted all season, which gave me hope that I could do it again this year, but they just didn't work that well. This one was so gorgeous, and it stayed that full beautiful color right up until frost. However, when I started out with this year's, this is what I had, and it was beautiful. I had such hope for it, I put it in that coconut container, which it does as well as can be in that one. That's what the one that did really well was in, but this one only lasted like through June, and then it just disappeared. These lasted the whole season, but as you can tell, and if you've been watching, they did just fizzle out. This little one here actually didn't look good until late in the season. So I'm thinking they just need cooler weather than we're able to give them here in Oklahoma. But I will not stop trying with these. I may have to just determine that I can only keep them for a short while. And my little castor bean got a late start, so I didn't think it would get as big as it did when it was just, about a foot off the ground. But it actually ended up going up about, I don't know, at least 7 foot tall, and it was very pretty. I enjoyed it. I wish I would have got more of the zinnies in the garden this year. I planted several, but for some reason I didn't get a lot to come up. These were the 2018 garden zinnies, at both the Zahara and the Profusion, and I'll definitely try again next year. And I mentioned that I thought my little silver begonia may have shrank due to snails. It did. This is the way it looks now. Isn't that terrible? But it's alive, so I'm hoping that it'll look better next year. And this is dew plant, and it just filled this pot out and kept going and going and bloomed for me. And I brought it inside, and this is what happened to it. There's not any of it left. It's gone. So I'll have to learn how to do that one better too. And then this, of course, is my Polymer Prince begonia, which I just love and so proud of it. This is another 2018 plant, and it is a candy cane verbena. It's so beautiful. I tried to see if the seed from last year would come back this year, but as you can tell, they did not, although it did have some pretty verbena in there with that tall larphlox growing around it. But I'll just have to remember that if it's a hybrid plant, I'm just going to have to buy the original plant to get it to be the colors you want, because the seed don't always come back true to what the parent plant was. I did love the impatiens in the strawberry pot. They just worked wonderfully well. They started out really good, and then they just got better and better. I thought this was beautiful. I'll do it again next year if possible. And I wanted a white and green garden, so I put it in a container because I love color, but this container was a pretty white and green garden for me. I was also very pleased with the vinca or periwinkle. I had determined to use more of those, and so glad I did. They just last as wonderful as the coleus do for our heat. And of course, this is some more of the periwinkle, and also the geraniums in this pot, and then the butterfly plant, or the pentas, actually that was pentas. And then this one is, well, this is more geranium. The other one was a tobacco plant, and although I love the tobacco plant, the blooms just didn't do that well for me. They were always being spent and not looking good. And these are pictures of some of my petunias, which are also a bit like the calabachoa in that they don't always last all season, but they're so pretty. I maybe just have to go ahead and use them for as long as they do last. But I also wanted to say that my red birds in a tree plant that I planted did not make it again, which I will try that one again. And then this, of course, are the buds of a poppy. And of course, one thing I did wrong was I trimmed my iris back in late summer because they were so scorched from summer's heat. But it was actually too early, and I had to trim them back again in the fall. And this is my favorite peony called Bowl of Beauty, which sits right down in front of the seating area that I can enjoy the most of the garden and relax. And I wanted so much to be able to have time to just sit there and dream and envision all the changes I might want to make for next year's garden while the color and texture was still in the garden. But actually, our freeze came too soon for that. And what do I say about these pretty little snails? Oh my goodness, when I first discovered snails, they were about half as big as my little finger. And I had no idea how destructive they were, but now they're more like the size of my thumbnail, and they've been eating my plants up. So I've got to learn how to take care of them, but I have learned some tricks like herbaceous earth and those coffee grounds with coffee. Anyway, they seem to me to work better when I added both the liquid and the grounds, but I'm going to learn more about that and hopefully be able to take care of that problem. And also, for what worked, there was you. Thank you to everybody who's looked at the garden scrolls, went on a garden scroll with me, and enjoyed our friendship, our YouTube friendship. Please continue to like and subscribe. Hi, it's Nancy with Garden Scroll. I want to thank you for enjoying the garden scrolls with me, and it's been great to get to go on. It's just wonderful to be in the garden, and it's wonderful to share it with you. I wanted to say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And this is the season of hope. And when the Christ child was born, he brought us a hope that we can all hold on to. I've heard that a person becomes suicidal when they lose all hope. And I've also heard that suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. And lots of times our problems seem like they are going to last forever. And they can last a long, long time. And there are things that we never come back from. The death of a loved one, nothing will ever be the same, nor can we bring them back. We'll be like David. We'll go to them, but they will not return to us. And so it makes a very sad time sometimes for holidays, because you want to be happy, but something sad is going on in your heart and your soul, and you're missing someone, or whatever is going on in your life. But please hold on. There will be another day, and remember that Christ died to give us life, and that more abundant.